Well, you know, Salty, I wouldn't want Amazon to feel alone.
So much you just set the whole place on fire? Neither did I. I mean, I've actually disliked places, but I've never said, let me burn this mother down. But that's maybe what has happened with this junior sailor on board the Bonhomme Richard. You guys don't remember last year the BHR Bonhomme Richard was on fire down in San Diego, and there were roaring flames everywhere you could see across the entire city, where people were wondering what was going on. Now, understanding why this occurred, how this occurred, has been lost for much of the past year, but it seems like some of those details are being leaked more and more as time goes on. Now, the command, or it looks like the legal team is looking at this, and they're saying charges are going against a seaman apprentice. Yes, that is an E2, and you have to think like, okay, did this guy just get the ship? Probably would have, you know, hated from the start, mental health issues I could consider. Or second off, maybe he was a higher rank, busted down to that, where people are going along with that story as well. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but these are the charges he's been charged with. According to the Navy Times, the sailor's been charged with aggravated arson and hazarding of a vessel or aircraft under Articles 126 and 110, respectively, of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, according to Robertson. Now, it does look like they have a Article 32 preliminary hearing that's going to take place, and there have been statements that have been made about this. They're talking about if this will be allowed and kind of the judicial process here, and they say this. Similar to a grand jury proceeding, an Article 32 will involve an officer reviewing all the evidence and then making a recommendation to the committing authority about whether charges should be referred against the accused. An impartial officer will make determinations and recommendations by the Uniform Code of Military Justice prior to any further trial proceedings, including whether or not there's probably cause to believe an offense has been committed, and to offer a recommendation as to the disposition of the case. And the rest of the article pretty much goes on to say they're not going to talk about the status of who it was that they're talking about. They're not going to talk about the evidence, because there is the judicial process that's going to take place, and they believe if they let that out, obviously they could tamper with their case if somebody was to know information. They're really trying to keep their lips closed on this one, because honestly, this is a high-profile case. You have to imagine how many millions of dollars have been wasted from this arson, possibly from this junior service member. In this video, I wanted to correct that I actually mentioned millions of dollars, but actually there is an admiral that commented on this back in November saying that restoring Bonhomme Richard to its original form would have cost between $2.5 billion and $3.2 billion, taking 5 to 7 years. That would have taken place on the Gulf Coast. He said rebuilding the ship for a new purpose would have cost in excess of $1 billion.
Try to make it real.
Also taking about 5 to 7 years. Though cheaper than rebuilding to original configuration, the Admiral said it would be cheaper to just design and build a new tender or hospital ship from scratch.
Love it.
Decommissioning the ship and the inactivation of harvesting of parts, towing, and scrapping the hull will cost about $30 million and just take 9 to 12 months.
Usually you do
now,
those
there also
things
have been unconfirmed reports of who this person actually was.
Psychology
wise, looks like Navy Times and other resources have actually come to these briefs and asked about that, and said they are not going to confirm if the person that was released or that name that was under investigation is actually the person that is being discussed. There's been no official report that's actually come out as well to really talk about this, and obviously there is underground word that is being brought up that people know from this ship that has not been officially released to the public. Navy Times actually does cite this and go into a little bit of the emails that have been gathered from these ships. Triad, which includes the executive officer, XO for short, and they say this. On November 25th, an email from the Navy official who signed the message XO, short for executive officer, second in command, noted that the trial counsel have requested to preserve some evidence in the lower V, a reference to the ship's aft section. Now, this does lead to maybe thinking we might have more information here than they're actually leading on, and it's interesting because not only that information's being released and no one said anything, it's been silent for a year, but also the comments and what people are saying down here, as it looks like even the ship's crew possibly know more about this than they're leading on and kind of talking about it subliminally through the Navy Times comment section. Kirby Seaman says, finally, it's not all the information we have, but at least they're putting out more and more. It's so hard to stay silent.
A correct response or an incorrect response given up, down, up, and down about as hard as he's pushing right now.
Tristan RX writes back, I've known that feeling often. The visual story is never the real story.
Admiral,
I have to be fair to Tristan here. I've been in areas where these heavy investigations have taken place, where
It's like,
a
don't we
major
make these
mishap in my own
indicators? How we
command
did this?
area where
Hydronic
there was a
lighter.
report that was released and what
Did
was
that
officially being
after
put out versus what was happening on the ground
That's why
were
I've seen
two
the
very
science.
different things. Or
Then
there were
again,
things that
Nikki,
were
I've
written
seen
very
somebody get
differently
released
to
from
not really
prison
portray a
because
certain
they
severity of certain
integrated a new
things.
computer
So I am
system
interested to
and
see
they
some of the
come up
statements
on
that
the
are made
release
by the crew
roster
that have maybe
for.
gotten out that can talk about this versus the official
Well,
statement.
he's seen. I
as
mean,
it
he had
comes out. If
tattoo
you guys are part
across
of the
the
crew and you're already out
forehead.
and you feel
And,
comfortable talking about that in the future, I'd love to cover your story
25
about
years
this, and if you're willing to.
a bunch of different
And there
stuff.
are suspicions that are coming from other people that have obviously
He gave
served. When you
himself
serve
up. Come
aboard
back.
a
We found
naval
out.
vessel, you kind of understand
Good
the
for
rotations
parole
and the
anyways,
workings
certainly
and things
comes
that
up.
happen on a regular basis.
Yep.
It can lead you to some suspicions that you would maybe consider if someone was really trying to perform this task and how they would get away with it. Vincent Vukatic says, I suspected arson all along. It was probably all set up down in lower V, and knowing a weekend morning duty section would be caught completely unprepared,
it's not
probably
it's you.
recently went to mass and
Derivative.
hated everyone. He brings up
Lambda.
a good point as far as duty
Lorenzo's.
turnover and looking at this from a
Gresham's
perspective
law
of when
on
nobody
Bell's
would be
equality
expecting it,
for
and it'd be
satisfying
probably one of the
field
most vulnerable
theory
Monday morning.
and
Dennis
Gell's
David says
curvature.
he may have started the fire and should be punished for it, but I hardly think it was his choice to leave hatches/doors open and secure the fire protection system while the ship was undergoing maintenance and port. If you don't know, maintenance on a ship can obviously be worrisome because there are fire hazards that do occur, and that's why he's saying that the hatches should have been locked down to ensure there's more fire integrity amongst the ship, and saying that this may have been negligence not only to someone trying to start a fire, but also the other rest of the crew that left these hatches open for the vulnerability of the entire ship to go up in flames like it did. Susan Letlier Nikia says, hope he isn't just a scapegoat and the information's accurate. I'm obviously not going to project totally entire negativity towards this sailor because the fact that I do believe in due process, but I'm like, this would be a very projected and calculated type of attack against the ship for a person that is a E2 seaman apprentice. Even if he hated the ship, this would have to be very calculated and very precise in order to ensure this happens. There's obviously a diffuse amount of responsibility amongst the ship, not just one individual, especially as you're looking at this perspective from the top down. I do wonder what's going to happen through this investigation. Will there be any accountability held at the commanding officer, executive officer, CMC, those kinds of levels? Because this type of responsibility and understanding there are other factors that could have contained the fire even more. Could that be spread amongst the crew and we see other people get burned, not only this E2 right here? I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below as some of you guys have served on ships, some of you guys have been on ships just as riders and Marines maybe, and you could understand what it's like to be on there and maybe how this came about, and maybe if you've been on the boat number chart, let us know what you think down in the comments below. But as always, if you do appreciate what we do here on this channel, we do have a Patreon link down below this video where you can get some special perks and benefits. Also on top of that, we have a YouTube join button below this video where you can get some special perks and benefits here on YouTube as well. But as always, if you have questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down accounts below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Yes, I got rid of the stash.